Welcome to Blue Talks. Thank you so much for that awesome introduction, Corey. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for taking some of your very precious time and investing it to be here and allowing me to share today. I want to walk you through a story with me. It's a true story, and I want you to try to identify how I felt. Try to put yourself in my shoes and really feel what I was feeling. I'm 22 years old. I'm walking through a shopping mall, and Mark's Work Warehouse. It was a big store in Northern Ontario. It's all glass. And there was a jean sale. I saw a big sign, jean sale. So I thought, I need some new jeans. I walk in, I go to the bin, I'm rifling through, and I pick a few styles, and it was all about the back pocket back then, what kind of embroidery was on it. So I find a few that I like. I'm like, oh, these are going to be great jeans to wear. I go in the change room, first pair I put on, couldn't get past my thighs. I'm like, oh yeah, didn't pick that right size. Get the second pair, I put it on, and they're painted on. And this is before skinny jeans existed. I got them on, and they're super, super tight. And the bin was just right there, right? So I'm like, come out of the change room, grab another pair. So I come out. I'm at the bin trying to figure out, and this lady comes up to me. Oh, excuse me, sir, the men's jeans are over there. I felt, I thought I was gonna die. I get back in the change room, trying to take these things off. And it's like the episode of Friends with Ross and those leather pants. So I pull them inside out. I got to peel them off because they're like painted on. I can feel the blood in my face. I'm so embarrassed. I get my clothes back on. As I walk out, I toss the inside out jeans in the bin, and I'm hightailing. And I thought, I'm just going to do a quick shoulder check to make sure there's nobody I know in the store. Timmins isn't that big. I look, great, nobody I know. Bang! Right into that glass wall. It echoed through the whole mall. I fall on my back, my nose is bleeding. Now the manager runs over. Are you okay, sir? We'll call an ambulance. I'm trying to make a quiet exit. The sales lady, grabs the jeans out of the bin. Do you still want the jeans even though they're women's pants? And I'm like, oh my God. Raise your hand if you can feel my embarrassment. Thank you. Now I say this story because sadly, it's often something we feel when we talk about motivation or the lack thereof. Now raise your hand if you've ever lacked motivation to do anything, at least once in your life. Every hand is up, of course. And it shouldn't be that way. You know, we feel shame. Maybe you've shamed somebody. We feel embarrassment. And when it comes to motivation, and I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but you've probably all felt shame at some point because you weren't motivated enough to get something done. And it's not like that. We're going to decode motivation because the truth is, it's not that complicated. We're all on the same page. The same rules apply to all of us when it comes to motivation. We're going to decode motivation. You're going to have an aha moment, and you're going to go, wow, that makes so much sense. And my hope is that we're all going to leave here a bit better versions of ourselves than when we came in today. And perhaps better equipped to not only understand ourselves, but understand the people around us and the people close to us. Motivation comes to us naturally. We all have it. Natural motivation. You know, some of it is in your DNA, some of it's from the product of your environment, the way you were brought up. And when you think of your hobbies, if you could fill in this line, I'd rather be doing blank than whatever it is you're doing. Whatever that blank is probably something you're naturally motivated to do. Maybe it's golfing, maybe it's gaming, maybe it's cooking. I live in a building full of seniors. And my good friends, Dave and Jackie, they ran the gardening committee forever. These are the kind of people that wake up and want to have their hands in the dirt all day. You know, people like, they just love gardening. Got to plant some flowers, pull some weeds, split the hostas. And every year they would ask me, because I'm the youngest guy in the building, Vynny, you want to join the gardening committee? No, I don't. I'll help you with the wheelbarrow. I'll bring the dirt. And our gardens are beautiful. You can see the evidence of the passion and the motivation that they have all around our building. And one year, somebody on the gardening committee, they asked, hey, Vynny, you want to join? I'm like, no. And they say, well, you're just not motivated. I said, you're right. I'm not at all. Zilch. I don't want to do gardening at all. I have zero motivation to do that. Nothing. I had rock gardens when I had a house. Could just hose them off. But I'm a motivated walker. I walk every day. Rain or shine, blizzard or hailstorm, I'm out there. I'm naturally motivated to do that. And I get them back. I see them in the lobby. They're having their coffee, seniors in the morning. And they'll go, oh, Vynny, you're going to walk in that blizzard? Yeah, you want to come? I'll wait for you. Oh, God, no. Well, you're just not motivated. Natural motivation, we all have it. And if you think of your hobbies, think of the things you love to do. Next is what I like to call contagious motivation. And I call it contagious because you can catch it. It's like a cold or a flu. You get infected by it. I'll give you a perfect example. Probably everyone here can relate to. You get together with your old high school friends, university friends. It's a girls' night. And you haven't seen each other in a while, and you get together and you're at the restaurant. You're like, you know what? We should do this more often. Why did we wait so long? We deserve it. And you start, and sparks start to happen. And you're like, you know, girls trip. Let's go to Mexico. Yeah, you know, I got some vacation days I need to use. The guys are like, you know, from the football team. I haven't seen you in so long, since your wedding, wasn't it? You know what, let's do Vegas. Yeah, let's go. And if I could sneak in that conversation right in that moment, every one of you would sign on a dotted line. There's motivation, everyone's on fire, I'm in. Everybody would commit to it. And then you're gonna go back home, and you know, one of the kids is sick, and you have that big presentation you have to do at work, that, you know, project you gotta work on. And there's stuff in life that happens. You put a sticky on your computer, you know, I'm gonna look at resorts. But then you got busy at work, and you haven't heard back from Brenda, and Bob hasn't called me back, so he's obviously busy too, and it goes away. And that motivation that you felt in that moment ran its course just like a virus, and it went away. Does that mean it wasn't real? Absolutely it was real. Absolutely it was real. Don't ever underestimate the power of contagious motivation and how true it is. Growing up, we had a family friend who, whenever I would bring my dad a beer, he goes, yeah, no, none for me. And I asked him once, I said, how come you don't drink beer? And he said, you know what? Because I'm an alcoholic. I'm a slave to that bottle. And I thought, oh man. And that guy, before he passed, was over 30 years sober. How did he do that? He's a slave to it. He did it with contagious motivation. Once a week, he went to a meeting and got infected with motivation to not throw in the towel, to stay the course. Sometimes it was daily. He would call his mentor or his sponsor and say, I need a dose right now. I'm struggling. I need that motivation. And he'd get infected with somebody else's motivation. And it transformed his life. It rewrote the last 30 plus years of his life. Contagious motivation can change you. It can prevent you from hurting yourself, prevent you from hurting other people. It is very, very powerful. That's what support groups are based on. Contagious motivation. I'm hoping today to be some contagious motivation for you, that sparks will happen. But it's a very real thing, and it's extremely powerful. And then there's life-changing event motivation. And that's when life throws you a curveball. Life as you know it is about to change. Didn't ask you for permission. It just happens. Something happens. And your world will never, ever be the same. A guy that was in my friend circle when I was in my young 20s tried to quit smoking dozens of times. Every year that was his resolution. Tried the patch, tried the pills, tried to be hypnotized, tried it all. He says, I can't, I just don't have it in me. And then one day he got a phone call from the doctor's office, said, hey, you know, are you sitting down? Those test results came back. You have lung cancer. Your days are numbered. He quit smoking right there on the spot. Tried dozens of times before, never found the motivation. All of a sudden, boom, there it was. Where did that come from? Isn't it amazing when life and death becomes part of the equation, how motivation can manifest itself where you thought it was impossible? And you see, the thing is with life event changing motivation, it comes at a cost. Almost always. You know, whether it's how many days you have left, something material you're going to lose. And I'm speaking from experience. The reason I'm here on this stage today, what brought me here to Alberta, is a life event changing moment. I left home at 15 years old, 3 garbage bags full of clothes. I was homeless. I lived under some baseball bleachers. There was a guy I worked with at Wilco. His name is Jim. He was a sporting goods manager. And I had a part-time job putting bicycles together. And he followed me one day. And he saw where I was living. And I tried to fake it. I said, oh, I'm just like pretending I'm camping. And he's like, yeah, come on. And he took me in. And I realized really quickly that necessity can drive your motivation. When life changes and I needed money, I needed to do something. I'm 15. Can you imagine 15 years old on your own? I eventually got a job in one of the local mines, and that was a good job in Timmins. Got enough money to rent a trailer in a trailer park. And that was a big step for me. I had my own place. And I was dating a young girl from a well-to-do family, and I'm sure that they weren't happy that their daughter was dating this kid. I was that kid that, people would tell my family, my parents, every family's got one. I was the loser kid that was never going to amount to anything. That was me. That was my label. And I know that her parents probably thought that too. And well, guess what? She got pregnant. That was a curveball. And we had a baby boy. His name was Adam. And Adam passed away about a day and a half after he was born from a cardiovascular infection, something that would be nothing to an adult but lethal to a child. And that kind of ended things with that young lady. Her family made it very clear to me that now that that's happened, this is done. And I remember at Adam's funeral, all her family was there, and there was kind of a little gathering, and I waited till just about everybody was gone, and I walked up. And I remember seeing just a little hole. And you're not ready for that. I've seen funerals on TV. I'd been to funerals. It's always a big casket. It's a big hole. This was a little hole with a little box in it. And as I stood there, I was pondering my life, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? I'm that loser. Yeah, and now I lost my boy. And I saw a gentleman walking towards me, and I recognized him from the city because he's the one that had sold me the cemetery plot. And he came over and he goes, Mr. Hick, are you okay? Just so you know, that guy has to be done at 4 o'clock. I'm like, what guy? And he pointed to a gentleman sitting in a backhoe just a bit further because they bury the body. And I said, what, that tractor is going to bury my son? He goes, yeah. I go, well, there's a shovel right here. He goes, that's ceremonial. I'm like, you know what? Send him home. I can do this myself. He's like, oh, no. I said, listen, send him home. I need to do this. I rolled up my sleeves. I took that shovel, and I started burying Adam. And with every shovel full of sand went a few of my tears. And as I cried, I got angry, I was mad. I'm like, why? Why is this happening? What am I going to do? And I got filled with anger and passion, and that was my moment, my life-changing moment. All of a sudden, I felt this fuel, this desire. I said, you know what? I'm not a loser. I'm going to prove everybody that I'm not. I'm going to live a life that my son would be proud of. I'm going to be somebody. I'm going to prove them all wrong. And I was on fire. I left that cemetery crying. First thing I did was call the paramedic from the team that had picked up Adam. There was a neonatal team that had flown down from Sick Kids Hospital. And you got to put yourself in that hospital room. I never got to hold Adam. He was in an incubator by the time I was called back to the hospital. One of the ladies that was on the paramedic team, her name was Sandra, and she said, look, I'll call you as soon as we get to Toronto. And I sat in this waiting room, and the mom and her family were in the hospital room, and this waiting room had a green rotary phone. I can still see that phone today. And I sat there for I don't know how many hours waiting for it to ring. And when it rang, Sandra said to me, Vynny, I want you to know that Adam passed, but he was in my arms. I took him out of the incubator, and he was being held when he moved on. And I was just like, what do you do? What do you say? And she goes, listen, Adam would want you to do something with your life. And I remembered those words when I got mad at the cemetery. So I called Sandra as soon as I got home. I said, I want to do what you do. I want to help save lives. She's like, okay, well, you quit high school in grade 10. You're going to have to go back to school. So I went to the local college, did some upgrading classes, grade 12 equivalency. And I started taking some correspondence courses for biology and chemistry, which I needed to get into the paramedic program. And I was applying to get in there as a mature student. The final stage, I was doing this while working at the mine. Final stage, I had to write an essay. And the college where I was doing this was in conjunction with the college where I wanted to go, We're going to grade this essay, and that's what was going to decide whether or not I could get accepted as a mature student. So I decided to write on grief, and I entitled my essay, Tears in the Sand. And it was a story of how I buried Adam. And I got called into the dean's office the following week, and I thought, I'm going to get some great news. And he asked me, he said, did you plagiarize this? Is this from a movie? And I was like, I'll show you the exact spot. It's only a 10-minute drive from here. And he believed me. And the other dean from the other college, they decided to accept me as a mature student. I went to college, I became a paramedic. I worked 5 years on land, an air ambulance, and one day I was playing hockey with some police officers, and they said, hey, you're French. You should come play. Why don't you apply for the OPP? They're looking for bilingual people. And that led to a 30-year career where I got to work undercover, I got to work with dogs, got to work on a tactical team. But see, that all happened because that loser kid in the cemetery made a decision. That motivation was there. I chose to grab that motivation. And the takeaway and the lesson here is, if you're beating yourself up because you're not motivated to get something done, whether it's for medical reason, whether it's for financial reasons, and you're just not getting it done, there's nothing wrong with you. And you're not alone. It's just not natural for you. Don't wait till life throws you a moment and makes a decision for you. Go get some contagious motivation. Go get some. It's everywhere. It's out there. Get a mentor. Join a support group. Follow a podcast. Find people that inspire you. Latch onto them. Connect with somebody. Get some contagious motivation. Get infected, because it can help change your life. I said that life event changing motivation comes at a cost. Cost for me was the life of a young boy that lived a day, just over a day. But it revolutionized and rewrote every part of the life of Vynny Hick. And now that you know the story, it's that simple. We're all in the same boat. You either have that motivation or you don't. Here's where you can get it. Go get infected. But you have to make the choice. Just like I made that choice in the cemetery that day. So the questions now are, what are you going to do with this information? What will you do next? Thank you, Edmonton.